All right, let's talk about AI research papers. You ever pick one up and just feel totally lost, like you're trying to decipher an alien language? Well, today that's going to change. We're going to walk through a practical guide to help you read and actually understand these super complex documents with confidence. So, picture this. You hear about some amazing new AI breakthrough. You find the paper, you open it up all excited, and then boom, by paragraph 2, you're drowning. I've been there. My first time, I just stared at this wall of text, right? All these equations and jargon. I was totally overwhelmed. And if that sounds familiar, let me just say, you are so not alone. Seriously. This happens to everyone, even folks who are deep in the AI field. But, and this is the good news, there's a method to all this madness. There really is. Okay, so let's just be real about what we're up against here. These papers, they're written for a super specific audience, and they have all these built-in hurdles. It can feel like you're trying to climb a sheer wall. But don't worry, we're about to hand you the climbing gear. I mean, you've got the super technical terminology, right? And then these incredibly complex explanations of models and architectures, and of course, the dense statistical analysis. But here's the thing, you don't need a PhD in statistics to get through it. The point is, these are just obstacles, and with the right strategy, you can totally navigate around them. And here's the secret weapon, really. Every single one of these papers follows a surprisingly predictable blueprint. It's like a code. And once you know the structure, once you've got the key, you're not just reading words on a page anymore. You're actually decoding it. So here's what that blueprint looks like. Honestly, just think of it as a roadmap. It's designed to give you the big picture first, and then let you zoom in on the details. You start with the abstract, that's your 30-second summary. Then you've got the introduction for some background. The methodology is the how they did it part. Results is, well, what they found. And finally, the discussion section is where they explain why any of it matters. Look, your first stop should always be the abstract. No exceptions. Just read that little paragraph and ask yourself one simple question. Do I actually care about this? If the answer is no, congratulations, you just saved yourself a ton of time. But if it's yes, then you know it's worth digging in. All right, so we've got our map. Now we need to talk about how to actually navigate the terrain, right? How do you read for real understanding instead of just, letting the words kind of wash over you? This might be the single most important piece of advice I can give you. Seriously, your first read-through is not about understanding every single word. Think of it like this. You're just skimming. You're trying to get the big picture, the main ideas. You can always circle back for the nitty-gritty details later on. So what does that actually look like when you're reading? Okay, here's your toolkit. First, for each section, just try to figure out the main idea. What's the one thing they're trying to say? Second, highlight key terms that keep popping up. And as you look them up, maybe even start your own little dictionary. Trust me, it'll save you so much time down the road. And probably the most important thing, take notes, but in your own words. This is what turns reading from a passive thing into an active thing. It forces your brain to actually process what you're seeing, not just scan it. Okay, this next part is where we really level up. Once you've got a handle on what the paper is saying, the next step is to start thinking like a scientist. You gotta play detective a little bit. Your goal is no longer just to soak up the information. Now it's about critically evaluating it, kind of like a peer reviewer would. So as you're reading, you need to start asking some tough questions. Like, first off, was their dataset big enough? Was it diverse? Because think about it. A model that's only trained on data from one specific group of people probably isn't going to work very well for everyone else. When it comes to AI, the size and quality of the data, well, it's everything. And then you've got the experiment itself. Did they actually test their new model against the best of the best, the current state of the art? Or did they kind of pick an easy competitor to make their own work look more impressive? It's a really key question for figuring out if the research is just good or if it's genuinely groundbreaking. And finally, this is the big one. You have to ask, do the conclusions they're making actually make sense based on the evidence they showed? Or are they maybe exaggerating a little? This is where you have to put on your skeptic's hat, because being a good reader of these papers means being a sharp, critical thinker. I know, this might all sound like a lot, but trust me on this one. Becoming a confident reader of AI papers is a journey. You go from feeling like a total novice to being a navigator. It's a skill, and just like any other skill, you build it with practice. It's not going to happen overnight. So here's the bottom line. The more you do this, the easier it gets. It really is that simple. So challenge yourself. Try reading one abstract a day, or maybe tackle one full paper a week. I promise, you'll be amazed at how fast you start to see the patterns, and your confidence is just going to skyrocket. So, I'll leave you with this. Now that you're armed with this roadmap and these strategies, you're not just a passive reader anymore. No way. You're an active investigator. You're a decoder of the future. So the only real question left is, what groundbreaking AI paper are you going to decode next?